So, Michael, so we've seen a lot has happened in the conversation around race in the past year or so. And, you know, one of the things, there's a study by Dr. Phil Goff that shows, I think it's called the Age of Innocence or something like that. You all should read it. Phil Goff, I want you to read this study, okay? I think it's called The Age of Innocence.
Who's that again?
And it's Phil Goff, Dr. Phil Goff. Now, it's important because the essence of innocence. Thank you, someone shouted to me. The essence of innocence. I don't see you teachers writing it down. Okay, put it in your phone, tweet it. The essence of innocence. It's a study that shows that that he does psychological assessments, and he does a lot of work in the policing context. And what he has done, he did this study where he looked at police officers and did some tests to understand. He does that test where you look at whether or not, you look at a person and see whether or not they associate with a lion or a gorilla. And one of the things that he found was also that young black males are seen as older than they are. So 4.5 years older than they are. 4.5 years older than they are. Tamir Rice, 12-year-old in the park, gunned down by the police. Important because when you see somebody is 4.5 years older, then you accept them to accept responsibility for something that they're just a kid and they're accepting responsibility. But also that in this test, it says white women undergrads. That has implications for teachers. White women undergrads actually associate black males with gorillas at a very high rate, meaning dehumanization of young black males. And so this is important because as we have this conversation about race, and we also should be having a conversation about implicit bias, because that test is really about implicit bias, because we all have it. We walk in and we're triggered by what we see. You know, we look at Mike Brown and we say, oh, you know, Darren Wilson says, oh, he was big, Hulk-like powers. That's something that's historic. And so what's important is, as we're having this conversation and as we're, had a conversation about the Confederate flag, what should we be doing in schools and in classrooms around this conversation?
Let me give you an example. In Chicago,